What can I be doing this summer to prepare for my first year of teaching? It's the question I've gotten again and again, and can I be honest? I answer this question a little bit different for every soon to be teacher that I talk to because every situation is so different. However, I've narrowed down my list to 5 things that you can start doing right now to prepare for your first year of teaching. Before we jump into it though, I just have to give a shout out to Shannon Schinnebeck from Shannon Marie Teaching. If you haven't met Shannon yet, she is an SEL expert, and we were fortunate enough to have her on our Blossoming Teacher coaching call this week. During our call, Shannon gave our members tips for incorporating SEL into their everyday lessons, and it was so good. If you weren't able to be on our call this week, be sure to head to our Blossoming Teacher Teacher PD portal to catch the replay as well as download the freebies that Shannon shared. They are seriously pure gold.
Welcome to the North Dakota Teaching Podcast. Whether you're a first-year teacher, veteran teacher, or just a mom trying to gain some new insights, you are right where you are meant to be. Kayla Durkin, founder of the Blossoming Teacher course, is passionate about helping new teachers blossom into the teacher they were born to be. Kayla wants to help inspire teachers to be their best self, whether that means sharing about personal or professional development, self-care, or the latest and most effective teaching strategies. Through this podcast, you will hear from real teachers sharing their stories about teaching, all with one main goal in mind: to be able to make an impact and help other teachers blossom. And with that, here is your host, Kayla Durkin.
Welcome back, friends. I'm so glad you're here today. Today, I have 5 tips that are going to help you kickstart your first year of teaching. I know it's only June, and many of you might be thinking that August and September are months away, but trust me, the school year is definitely going to sneak up on you. Whether you've accepted your first job or not, the first tip I have for you might be one that you're not expecting. I want you to remember to slow down and enjoy your summer. As exciting as your first classroom can be sure that you find a balance in prepping for your upcoming year and just enjoying the sunshine, your friends, slow mornings. If you're not working a summer job, just take time to appreciate the stillness of the day, the calm before the storm, and to just simply be. Waste some time watching TV, go on longer than usual walks, try out a complex recipe, read for fun, make a summer bucket list of things that you want to do, and see how many of them you can check off. Your first year of teaching is going to be a wild ride, and you're going to be a new kind of busy that you probably don't even realize is possible yet. So I just want you to take some time and do the things that matter most to you. Spend a day doing all of your favorite things, laughing and loving and just living life. Trust me, it will be time well spent. Tip number 2 is also a tip for everyone. Whether you've accepted that dream job or not, it's time to start diving into some teacher PD. Everyone learns differently, so this PD can come in the form of educational books, online conferences, YouTube, coaching calls, you name it. As for educational books, I will drop a list in the show notes below, but a few of my favorites include The Wild Card, Teach Like a Pirate, What Schools Could Be, Culturally Responsive Teaching, and The No Complaining Rule. The 2 teacher books that I'm currently reading are Know Better, Do Better, which aligns to the science of reading, and then for our Blossoming Teacher course members, we actually kicked off our book club yesterday with the book The Essential 55 by Ron Clark. Full transparency, I hadn't read this book before the Blossoming Teacher members chose it, and so I really wasn't sure what to expect. This book is really filled with a lot of amazing ideas though, and as with every book, it's just good to remember to read it with an open mind and to know that one person's teaching style might be different from another person's, and that's actually what I love about our book club. There have been some interesting takeaways that this book has had, and the way that we get to share about it and talk about it in our book club, it really does just open up the conversation and leave us wanting more. It's just so nice to get the opportunity to be able to read a book and then come together and discuss it with other educators so that we can share our thoughts, our feelings, our wonderings, and then we can even have some actions that can carry us forward. As for books, I also want to give a shout out to the book Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. Although this isn't your typical teacher book, this book is a must read, especially for first-year teachers. You're going to have days that things just don't seem to be going your way. But hearing the mental reminder that this too shall pass and that everything truly is figureoutable, it's going to be so helpful on those not so easy days. Aside from books, though, head on over to YouTube or sign up for some summer conferences. There are so many opportunities at your fingertips and so many teachers who are just dying to share their knowledge and expertise with you. Of course, if you're looking for some ideas, I highly recommend that you attend the live summit that Sydney LaFrenz and I are hosting on July 28th. Sydney and I are both first-year teacher mentors, and we have come together to bring you the College to Classroom Success Summit. This summit is all about enhancing what you learned in college so that you can be successful in the classroom. Our summit will be live on July 28th, but we're also offering recordings because we know some people just can't make it happen. During our live summit, though, Sydney and I will each be doing a keynote. Mine is going to be all about thriving during your first week of teaching, and Sydney's is going to be all about classroom management. Additionally, we're also going to have 9 presenters come together to share during our breakout sessions, which will be covering everything from culturally responsive teaching, personal finance for new teachers, building authentic classroom communities, social emotional learning, classroom procedures, special ed terms that every first-year teacher should know, organizational tips, and so much more. We're even having a principal join us for one of the breakouts to share what she looks for in first-year teachers. Seriously, how cool is that? If you're interested in learning more, be sure to head over to college2, as in the number 2, so college2classroom.com. Our early bird ticket special is still going on for a few more days, so you absolutely do not want to miss out on that. Alrighty, tip number 3 is for the teachers who've accepted a job in their specific content area, grade, or subject. If you already know what you're teaching, you should start diving into your curriculum and your standards as soon as possible. The sooner that you can begin familiarizing yourself with your standards, the sooner you can start mapping out what you're going to be teaching and when. Some schools are going to provide you with every single thing that you need, content and subject-wise, whereas other schools, they might not be providing you with anything. Some schools are going to have very specific ways that you need to teach your subject or your lesson, whereas other schools might give you the freedom to teach the way you'd like. No matter the situation you're in, whether your school is able to provide all of the resources that you need or not, knowing your standards is going to set you apart from many of the other teachers. If you're able to pinpoint exactly what your students need to be learning throughout the year, if you know what prerequisites are required before teaching the next unit, if you're able to gain a full picture as to what your students should know by the end of the year, you're going to feel so much more prepared. Just by knowing your standards, you'll be able to start researching projects that you want to do with your students. You'll have an idea of what lessons you can teach and when you can fit them in. You'll be able to do cross-curricular planning and incorporate multiple standards into lessons and units. Plus, the sooner you start diving into what's available to you, the sooner you can start advocating for what supplies you might need. You might find out that you're supposed to teach computer applications, which you know nothing about, and realize that the teaching manuals from 2008, which means it absolutely is not going to work from your students, and that you probably need to start researching what you can provide to your students so that they have the course materials that they deserve. But, I'm totally not speaking from experience or anything. So if you can, start looking into those standards, start looking into the curriculum that's provided for you, and really just start digging into what your students need to know for each of those content areas. Okay, I know tip number 4 is one you've all been waiting for, and it is, drumroll please, classroom theme. I don't know about you, but I live for a good classroom theme. Even back in 2015, when nothing in my classroom matched, it still brought me so much joy to be able to decorate. Your room absolutely does not need to be Pinterest perfect. I promise you, the theme of your classroom isn't going to show your students that you love them any more than the teacher down the hall. However, we all know that a good bulletin board can bring some serious teacher joy, so if you've been looking forward to decorating a classroom for longer than I can probably imagine, this tip is for you. If you already know what grade or subject you're teaching, power up your Pinterest and start searching for ideas. The sooner you can begin printing your alphabet letters, your classroom calendar, class jobs, your champs board, you name it, the better. Printing and laminating and cutting, it takes a lot of time, so the summer is the perfect time to get a jump start on these things. If your school lets you print and laminate for free, that's even better. Just put on some Netflix and get to work. My 2019 classroom was sponsored by the Carrie Diaries on Netflix. And what I mean by that is I watched the entire Carrie Diary show while printing, laminating, cutting, and prepping everything for my classroom. If you have no idea where to begin when it comes to decorating your classroom, be sure to head to the module inside of the Blossoming Teacher course, which breaks down exactly what you need to do from the moment you step foot into your classroom. From the layout and organization to your classroom theme and your setup, it's all covered within those modules. And tip number 5, it's time to start stocking up on some teacher supplies. I do want to stress though, be sure you either see or ask what your classroom will be provided with before you start buying things like a crazy person on Black Friday. And the only reason I can say that is because it's me. I'm the crazy person. I think I need to buy everything anytime it's on sale. I'm also known for getting the deal of the century, and I absolutely do not want you to spend money on things that you think you need because you think it's such a good deal. Your classroom might already have all of the bookshelves that you could ever need, or maybe it doesn't have any. Or maybe your school is going to provide you with a stipend so that you can buy your own supplies. Or maybe the school won't. You really never know until you ask, so you need to find out if it's clear that you're going to be getting supplies for your classroom, if they're going to be helping you fund them, if they have other resources in the building that you can move into your room. You really do just want to figure out what is available to you before you start spending your time and your money on these items. So here are just a few words of wisdom that I have for you. First of all, free is your best friend. If you know that you need some bigger items such as those bookshelves or flexible seating, lamps, whatever it is, post on Facebook and ask and see if any of your family or friends would be willing to part with any that they maybe have. And before you hate on me because you're too cool for Facebook, nobody's too cool for free or cheap stuff. Another option is to check the Facebook Marketplace, post on your community site, and possibly just hit up some rummage sales. For me personally, I'm willing to pay about $5 or $10 for shelves or flexible seating options, whereas for books, I'm not willing to spend as much. I know that I can find really good books for 25 cents or even as cheap as 10 cents per book at rummage sales. There have been times when I've paid 50 cents or $1 for a book if it was part of a series such as Diary of a Wimpy Kid or Harry Potter, but typically I'm aiming for 25 cents or even 10 cents because think of how many books that you need for your classroom. If you need 500 books, that means $500. Whereas if you're only spending 10 cents per book, then you're closer to $50 or maybe $100 or whatever it is. Again, you don't want to spend the money that you don't necessarily have or that you don't have to spend. If you can, though, ask your family, ask friends, post on the marketplace, search for rummage sales that are advertising for retiring teachers, or if you can, just see what your school provides for you before you start buying anything, even if you do think it's the deal of the century. So let's recap here, friends. I know that those were just 5 of about the 10,000 tips that I would love to share with you today, but that just means you'll have to come back next time. However, your 5 tips today were number 1, slow down and enjoy your summer. Find a balance in your schedule for working on schoolwork while also enjoying your friends and your family and your hobbies. Number 2 is Teacher PD. Join the Blossoming Teacher course, attend the College to Classroom Success Summit, read 1 or 2 of the books that I recommended, hit up YouTube. There is seriously just so much available for you right there at your fingertips. Number 3, start diving into those standards. The more familiar you are with your standards, the more prepared you'll feel when it comes to teaching your content. Number 4, print, laminate, and start cutting out your classroom decor. Whenever the school gives you the okay to start decorating, everything's going to come together so much faster because it's prepped and ready to go. And then number 5, start looking for classroom supplies that you know you'll need. Be willing to wait it out for a better deal though. You do not have to buy everything you see right away. Gosh, I know this summer is going to fly by, but I really do want to remind you to find time to slow down and just enjoy being present and in the moment. If you're looking for more teacher tips, be sure to head to www.ndteaching.com/tips for my top 10 tips to help you prepare for your first year of teaching. And lastly, get excited. I have some really great podcast topics coming up that I cannot wait to share with you. Alrighty, friends, thanks so much for being here. And as always, if you need anything, please send me a DM on Instagram. I am always just a message away.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the North Dakota Teaching Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. Be sure to tune in to the next episode for more teaching tips to make an impact. Until next time.